Some guys are just jacked as without even hitting the gym. And those individuals in general end up, becoming like, they're the genetic hyper elites who, end up dominating in many cases. But he was not. He's a standard twink ectomorph. What's up guys, Derek, moreplacemore8s.com. Today we are going to be going over JJ Watt's transformation. This is a huge star in the NFL, and he had a pretty wild transformation. This was posted a while ago, actually. This has been on my to-do list, one of my many tabs that's been open for fucking ever. March 1st versus April 1st by NFL Badgers, obviously not, but April 1st versus May 1st. So anyways, this was him back in high school, looking like a skinny little twig, and then this is him after, walking around at 6'5", 290 fucking goddamn pounds. This guy is a house and is one of the, jacked guys in the NFL, as if, they're not all in, pretty good shape, but this guy is, seen as one of the housey motherfuckers. For the love of Pete, what in the world is happening, was happening in high school? Could someone introduce me to a bicep curl, please? A squat? Anything. Those extra large shoulder pads aren't fooling anyone. So as you would expect, comment section, you were involved in the Super Soldier Project, weren't you? Roids help. Roids, a hell of a drug. Let's see, what else? What you think your weight was in that picture? 135 to 140. Steroids are a hell of a drug. Like, yeah, he looks like he's probably like one push, like $140, $150, some shit. Well, he's at 6 foot. I don't know if he had reached 6'5" at this point, but if he was, he might have been like 165, 175 in this picture. I don't know, but like at least 100 pounds less than what he is, as a full-grown, NFL star. Let's see. Don't worry, the swelling in your arms will move to your belly. What the fuck? It's a weird comment. Did you go through the Captain America experiment? If the wind blew, you would fall over. Crying, laughing face. Wow, this is an aggressive crying, laughing face on Twitter. I was not aware the emojis were so much more dramatic. So when would you run your fastest 100 meter? Let's see. Holy shit, dude. Wow. What the fuck? Different crying, laughing face. This one isn't as exuberant. Face with tears of joy. Oh, I forgot you can fucking hover over these in Twitter. What is it? Rolling on the floor laughing whilst concurrently crying. Interesting. Got a nice gif of some fucking syringes flying all over the place. Cool. So as you can imagine, about a third of these comment sections are about like fucking gear pretty much. So that's the question is, the NFL, how stringent are their testing parameters? Is it likely that this guy took gear? I will give kind of my 2 cents because this guy has been the highlight of many Natty or not discussions up until even fucking current day. Like this is like his stats, 6'5", 288. Wow, they even have fucking hand measurements in here. So he is 32 right now. And many a thread have been made about this guy. Here he is, JJ Watt, natty or juice. You can pretty much bet any professional athletes on some sort of juice. Yup, and why not? Would be like having a desk job and not taking stimulants, lol. At least most sports. I doubt centers in basketball need to juice. Makes money with body, juice. The champagne of juices, he's a national icon. Brian Cushing secret stuff with the workout of carrying Bill O'Brien. Athlete, juice. He hosted SNL and they test. So doubtful. LOL. For autism. Hard work and dedication. Just Myron. Natty? Questioning face? Not. Crying, laughing face. 3 exclamation points. Looks like the guy on the right ate the guy on the left. Achievable naturally, but just depends how long you took to get there from image 1 to 2. And if he is on juice, I'd be very disappointed because that's naturally achievable. It took me 4 years to get bigger than that. But just gotta eat. You gotta love these guys in the comment section. They're always like, yep, like I'm bigger than that. And then you go to their fucking profile and they look nothing even fucking close, dude. Yeah, you definitely are bigger than fucking JJ Watt, bro. Give yourself a fucking break, dude. Yeah, you definitely exceeded this in fucking 4 years, buddy. Fucking random Reddit commenter. So anyways, just saw some of his posts. So this was a quote from him. I was a scrawny high school kid. I was a tiny little kid with no idea. So as you can see, he wasn't the most genetically blessed individual from a, base context. Like some guys are just jacked as fuck without even hitting the gym. And those individuals in general end up, becoming like, they're the genetic hyper elites who, end up fucking dominating in many cases. But he was not. He's a standard fucking twink ectomorph here. Moving on to this article I thought was interesting. It is 8 huge NFL players who never took steroids and 7 who clearly did. And they kind of break down Clay Matthews did not. David Boston did. Sebastian Janikowski did not. Steve Corson did. Jim Hamslett, blah, blah, blah. So we get down to J.J. Watt, did not. Cynics who automatically assume the worst would likely believe Houston Texans superstar J.J. Watt must be taking steroids or some other substances because he looks as if he was cut from granite. In the past, Watt has scoffed at the notion that he needs banned drugs to be so ripped and in shape, and he has, over the years, gained a reputation for having an insane workout regimen that explains why he's so jacked. Watt, one of the best defensive players of his era, has never officially been linked with any drugs, and he has publicly stated that he welcomes league testing because he has nothing to hide. We highly recommend you don't mention anything about steroids if you encounter Watt face to face. So, anyways, what do I think? This is an interview with him back in 2006 summer. So this is what he looked like, you know, obviously pretty serious about football and is, well on his way to becoming a fucking phenom. And this is kind of what we're working with here, probably shortly after that first picture.
JJ Watt from Pewaukee High School. JJ, what would you say your goals are for this upcoming season?
I'd say probably just to win conference and take my team deep in the playoffs. Because last year we made a strong run, but we want to go a little bit farther this year.
So obviously he's at a point where he has already gone through puberty or is, past the stage of androgen exposure where he has his voice changed from fucking high to deep. The guy is basically, full-blown masculinized at this point, has had his exposure to a giant influx of testosterone and DHT and growth hormones. So this is kind of indicative of, this is his foundation here. And he's obviously fucking training. The guy is much bigger than he was in his before shot, and he's a fucking football player with aspirations of becoming an NFL phenom. Well, I don't know if he wanted to become a phenom, just wanted to make the NFL, whatever. You're obviously hitting the fucking weights. So he's been hitting the weights since, mid-high school. This is him after puberty still, and probably at least 70 pounds off of where he is. Maybe not. Maybe, 60, 70, but he's definitely, got a ways to go until he hits peak fucking Zeus mode over here. So let us continue.
To go a little bit farther, what do you think your team strengths are for this upcoming season?
Our team strengths, we got good spots at the skill positions. We lost a little bit at the O-line, but other than that, we're going pretty strong at the skill positions.
Who do you see as your top competitors and your top competition in the conference this year?
This year we got New Berlin, Eisenhower, Greendale, and Brown Deer looking like the top teams. We're all ranked in the top 10s right now, so it's looking like the teams to beat.
All right, so you kind of get an idea. This is what he looks like at the most zoomed out point of the video. This is kind of his, he's fucking training. He's gone through puberty. He has a fuck ton of test and GH in his system at this point, all but naturally, of course. And he is, I'm not saying that mockingly, he's actually fucking natural, obviously, in my opinion, or who knows? I knew guys in fucking grade 11, grade 12 who were popping D-balls like candy too, so you never fucking know. But anyways, moving forward from 2006, where he is probably 89, 99, 17-ish. I think he was born in 89. Yeah, so he's maybe around 17 here-ish. So getting ready to ramp up, and then gets to 2009. He's about 20 years old here. On MTV's College Life in 2009, you can see he has definitely filled out a bit. He's looking a bit more, just a more commanding presence in general. Here he is making out with some chick, I guess. Or this is him laughing at him making out with a chick. I don't fucking know. But at the end of the day, we can see a, blatant development over the past few years. And he has packed on some size. This is him in 2009 at, October 31st, 2009. So the end of the year in 2009, over 3 years later. And he has in 3 years managed to pack on what appears to be, he's gone from this to 3 years of intense, probably your life revolving around this, to this. So the majority of your gains are going to be achieved in the first 3 years, and he's already probably been lifting prior to this point too, because we all know he started at here. So if he started from here, you go through puberty and, you end up, and you're training, you end up here. And then 3 years of intense, fucking strenuous exercise, football, rigorous camps, dieting. And when I say dieting, I mean eating enough food to fucking support the muscle growth. Like, this guy's life, I'm sure, revolved around football at this point. And he ends up here after presumably achieving the majority of your progress is going to be made in the first few years of a rigorous schedule with high, with a training routine, good sleep, good diet, etc. So this is largely representative of what this guy can do. Was he on gear at this point? Is there fucking testing in high school? Like, obviously this guy could have got away with whatever he wanted. And I know a lot of guys who had aspirations of going to the NFL who were popping shit. It was very, very commonplace in high school, despite what, Matt Does Fitness will say. If you're a fucking, triple jumper who's trying to become an Olympic star, for some reason you're still not incentivized to take steroids, and there's no way you could get them, and there's no point when, like obviously any person would disagree with that. I'm not, that's just a side tangent from a recent relevant example. But anyways, obviously the incentive was hugely there in high school to take shit. So this might already be like dabbling, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was trying to make it to the fucking league. And this is years ago when their testing is far less scrutinous. And this might be an enhanced physique already that you're seeing here. Like, what is the probability that you're not going to be tempted if this is like your lifelong passion? I'd say it's quite high, and I'd say it's quite likely that he might have already dabbled in something here or there here. I'm not saying he did for sure, I'm just saying it's quite likely, and this is representative of the transformation from 17 years old-ish to 20 years old in the peak of your muscle building years in terms of what you can do. Obviously, pushing into your early 20s, you're probably peaking in muscle growth potential, but in general, like around here, like this is him, like, getting the majority of what would be natural progress if this is indeed natural. So at this point, plateauing is going to become, a lot more apparent, but he still manages to pack on what appears to be another like 50 fucking pounds on top of this probably. He ends up here after, however many years. Like, these are him at, more recent shots. How recent, I don't fucking know, but at the end of the day, he kind of like peaked into his like mature NFL years, and he looks more like this now. So when you go back to him at 2009, this is representative kind of, I don't know, like what you could say is at best, like this guy's natural potential, largely, I would say. Or, at maybe not actually natural potential, but I mean like the majority, you're going to be achieving diminishing returns at this point, given how intense this guy's schedule, I imagine, was. Like, he's definitely starting to, plateau a little bit in the progress. Now, how easy is it to get away with drugs in the NFL? Well, they do have drug testing in place, so there is obviously, an argument to be made. This guy's never failed a test. He's never had any kind of, aberrant fucking outcomes where you would, blatantly be able to pin something on him. But you have individuals at the top of the sport that everyone would say are, clean too, who pop for shit just by being careless. Like Julian Edelman, PED test is confusing scientists. This guy fucking popped for a PED. No one seems to know either, including the science testing him, what it was, apparently. But somehow they knew it was a PED. According to the MMQB, it was a substance that wasn't immediately recognizable, and it is under further analysis. Yet it was still a positive test, even if the exact substance hasn't been identified. So what, you're on like a designer fucking drug that you got designed for you in order to circumvent testing? They somehow, had a cross detection, or like what? Like, what is this? Or he just had a fucking easy testosterone to epitestosterone ratio being exceeded, and somehow they're classifying it as, we don't know what's going on, when it's like the most basic test fucking ever. Part of the reason there's so much secrecy around Edelman's failed test, there is a $500,000 fine for anyone who breaks the confidentiality agreement regarding drug testing. So like, that's a pretty fucking hefty fine for disclosing that a guy popped. Like, you would think there'd be a bit more transparency. If a guy pops, are you like covering up for him? Like, why is this being like swept under the rug so aggressively? And he ends up getting a 4-game suspension. That is the extent of your punishment in the NFL. And I bet most people don't even know Edelman popped for fucking gear. It's probably like the most overlooked thing ever because no one really gives a fuck. It doesn't get that much scrutiny. It's not like, Olympic track and field. It's not like, I'm not saying people aren't cheating in track and field. I'm just saying it's more highly regulated and gets a lot more negative publicity around steroid use. It's not like, the UFC. For some reason, the NFL is just like, I don't know. It's just like they place less emphasis on the drug testing protocols. So therefore, when somebody tests positive, it's just like not a big deal. 4-game suspension. Like, would you not have significant incentive if you have like whereabouts policies that you can fuck around with when you have many like get out of jail frees throughout the year that then reset every year. And in addition to that, even if you do, fuck up the 3 give me's you get potentially, that you end up with a 4-game suspension, like worst case scenario. And given the fact that the randomization, the frequency of testing, the scrutiny of the testing, are they really going balls deep like USADA in the UFC or the Olympics or anything like that? And again, when I say the Olympics, I mean in certain contexts, not in all fucking contexts, obviously, with certain countries facilitating their own, drug testing. It's a bit different. But anyways, it's obviously quite lenient. And, Edelman got like, a fucking slap on the wrist essentially for having, and they don't even disclose what it is. So obviously there's significant incentive. And it's not surprising that barely anyone gets popped in the NFL, despite these being the fucking largest humans ever, literally clashing into each other for a living and being physical embodiments of fucking performance. What the fuck do you think? Do you think there's nobody using anything? Like, it's obviously silly. I'm not saying that everyone's using anything. I'm just saying there's definitely PED use in sports like this where the testing is more on the surface, like we're testing, to basically show that we're, doing our due diligence, but it's not as strict as the UFC. That's like Olympic style fucking scrutinous testing. So anyways, like this is what he ends up like after this and this, twig mode, he ends up fucking here, here. So pretty substantial before and afters. And like at the end of the day, there's definitely leeway to fuck around. And I think the likelihood is higher than not that this guy has dabbled. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying in my general opinion, I think the NFL has a lot more leeway to get away with a bit more aggressive shit. Even the fact that the UFC, like there's ways to circumvent it, but it's far more fucking complicated and far more problematic to try and do it. And the punishments are far more severe. Which not only the scrutiny of the testing and how elaborate it is, the amount of resources they're allocating to it, what kind of degree they're taking these tests to. Are they doing things like carbon isotope ratio testing? Are they doing things like HGH, isoform differential immunoassay? Are they doing this kind of shit versus, even in the UFC, which is like far more rigorous, they're, only doing things like EPO analysis, HGH testing, like upon red flags that, really warrant, going further and exploring. But it's not like even the highest testing parameters and like the most scrutinous leagues are not necessarily doing everything to catch bioidenticals that they could be, because there simply is not enough resources allocated to cover the full spectrum of the roster to do this expensive fucking elaborate testing on every single draw and every single randomized test, or even to do it frequent enough. So in the NFL, with this giant league with kind of like a, half-assed program, a lot of guys are flying under the radar, in my opinion. So I think this guy has probably used some shit, and that would be my bet. I'm not saying he is definitively. I'm just saying for those who are asking my opinion, this guy's been on my to-do list for a while. A lot of people have sent me, the Natty or Nots and the, the Natty, what is it? The fucking, the subreddit, the Natty or Juice subreddit, a bunch of the threads have been made about this guy, asking me my opinion. And I do think he has indeed sauced it up a bit. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplacefordates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplacefordates, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. My recommended lab tests and diagnostics, stay on top of your health and address any imbalances or deficiencies as needed. My Gorilla Mind nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode pre-workout formulas, designed myself from scratch. My recommended diet model for gaining muscle and sports performance, as well as hitting your micronutrient needs concurrently and maximizing other vectors of performance and recovery that are often overlooked by most cookie cutter influencer diets. And anything else I'm associated with, it is all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.